Hey folks, welcome again. You're here with the Gambia production team. This is LT along with my boys.
Vern.
Carlos.
So today, I'm more a movie guy, and I want to do a top 10 black superhero films, like black superheroes headline their own film. And we don't even have 10, so we had to add in some television shows and even shows and characters we didn't want to talk about, just because to make a full list, it was kind of hard to even find black superheroes who were headlining. So no Samuel Jacksons, no Falcons, no disrespect to them, but I'm talking about your name is in the title or you are the actor is the star. Beginning off from least impactful to most is the movie Hancock, starring Will Smith. This movie had a lot of potential personally from what I've read of the original script, but I barely like to count this movie as a superhero movie in any respect. Like really, he had powers, and that was about it.
He was like an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But even when he became a hero, he did one heroic thing in the movie when he stopped the bank robbery, and then it was all him trying to get with dude's wife because of the whole backstory, and that was it.
Yeah. He was suffering depression.
Yeah, he was suffering
Yeah,
depression.
he was
Okay, so I will give it credit because in the movie, spoiler alert, he got beat because he was in an interracial relationship back in like the 1930s.
Yeah.
And he woke up with no memory. So his whole feeling was he must have been an asshole because no one came to like come get him. Alright, so he's moving on to Meteor Man, which is one of my favorites. Robert Townsend, who was like my personal hero.
Yes, sir.
It's about a school teacher gets hit by a meteor and gets superpowers. And in this movie, he goes around after drug lords. Like he flies to other countries, actually goes on a war on drugs. And that was like a really good, interesting thing for me to see, a superhero tackling something that's actually affecting normal people versus just I'm fighting some supervillain.
It was a feel-good superhero movie, and it wasn't like blaxploitation.
Exactly. Next one is the TV show Black Lightning, which is another black inner-city teacher, has superpowers, and is going against regular criminals. Like, yeah, you got the element because it's based on a comic book, but he's dealing with regular people issues. So a person watching it can actually like, okay, I feel that world. It's like it's a heightened world where like gangs are walking into schools, kidnapping. Kidnap his daughter in the first place. He's like, all right, nah, because he was retired. He's like, well, you kidnapped my daughter, I'm coming back.
Right.
But he still has the balance between being a role model to principal, his ex-wife, his daughters, whatever else, and it's a black man. And his regular job is a positive role model also, which I really appreciate. Again, is like, he's not just, I have these powers, I'm doing because I have these powers, there's a super villain. It's like, no, I have these powers, but my regular day job is actually more important.
And there's a lot of scenes of racial discrimination. Like when he gets pulled over, like I think it was like first or second episode, my man get pulled over by the cops. They tell him to get off the car, and then, they start beating my man, but then he starts using his powers, and it's like, yeah, I got these, but I wasn't trying to use them. You forced me into this.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how most black people feel in the world today. It's just like you're forcing us to be a certain way because you're constantly, making these assumptions about what we're doing.
Real talk on that is like, that's kind of the thing, especially with the black superheroes. Like, I have these powers, but I'm still a black person first. So if I go and do something, it's gonna be like, oh, there he goes doing something. Like if Superman has a bad day, everyone's gonna give him a break. If Black Lightning gets beat and electrocutes a cop, that's a bad.
Right.
Next is not the son of Black Lightning, but Static Shock, which, Kids WB was a big deal because that was the first time any of us at any age saw a young kid superhero who looked like us.
Right.
Inner city, by the way, being raised by a single black father because the mom had been dead, which you very rarely see. He's pretty much in the same vein as Spider-Man. I have these powers. All these people were already bad before. I gotta go do it. And he's a young black kid. Still to this day, I'm like, can we get another Static Shock something? Because we have, how many Spider-Man versions of Spider-Man do we have out there? I'm talking about Peter Parker Spider-Man.
Keep on reheating the same chicken every time.
But we had one cartoon of Static Shock, and no one can tell me that would not sell right now. Now next, he gets on the list as a superhero because if people call Batman a superhero, Blank Man is a superhero.
Facts.
Blank Man is a superhero.
This is a regular dude who makes a bunch of gadgets and fights crime with his friend who knows martial arts, much like the Green Hornet.
His brother.
His brother.
David Allen
Allen
Greer, man. My man.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's no different, except it's on a real low budget level of like his.
Right.
He didn't have the money. If he had the money of Bruce Wayne, he'd have been doing some stuff.
Oh no, he's been.
And he also did create a sentient creature. Like
yeah.
his little J5 or whatever.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, man.
That was a sentient
dreads and everything.
Yeah,
Thank you. And again, it was black, but it wasn't like, again, not military. He was a black guy. He was going through black guy issues.
Right.
But he was a nerdy black dude, so it was like, for me, especially as somebody who wasn't like,
For the blurred community.
exactly. He's like, oh, we can be a superhero too. Cool.
Exactly.
You know? Next, probably one of the biggest black superhero shows of recent times, Luke Cage, and can't call that show not black. That show is black. Soundtrack,
Yes.
all the way through. I
Yes.
mean,
Ooh, that soundtrack.
the man. I mean, everything about it. Like, I have friends who are like, man, like, how can people love it so much? It's like, you don't understand. Like,
No.
the music, the
don't.
the feeling. I mean, it's set, not just set in Harlem, but it's all those things. Like, yes, I get it. And I mean, every single character is like, yeah. And Luke is over here like, yo, the world does owe me a whole bunch because they kind of screwed my whole life up.
Right. Like he was so reluctant to help people at first. But
Yeah.
remember, the barber dude was the one that really got him into it.
Yeah, always.
He was
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
hey man, you should go help. And then he finally was like, you know what? You're right. Let me go help. You know, it's one of those tragic stories. But it's like I finally did something right, and the person that got me into it now is like,
he
died.
He
Other
died.
than-
Yeah, and he died
Mhm.
not because of Luke, but bullet ricocheted off him. You know, it's not his fault. It's like, all right, well, let me just put myself in front of it instead of just whatever.
Right, exactly.
But also, what I liked is you had black villains versus black people, and it wasn't like a white person pulling the strings because the person pulling the strings, the person pulling the strings was another black dude.
Yeah.
I mean, like it was like it was.
Oh. And it gives birth to black villains and superheroes. You got Cottonmouth.
Yeah.
You got Night Nurse,
Yeah.
Rosario Dawson. You got Misty Knight.
Yeah.
You got so many people.
And also, shout out to, I forgot the actress' name who played Misty, because she was like, hey, I'm a cop, I'm from this area, I talk like y'all, I speak like y'all, but, there's rules to be followed, you know? And actually, the villain was a partner, the white dude, Scarlet.
Yeah.
I can't speak enough about that show.
Yes.
It's unfortunate it got canceled right when things were starting to pick up, because now he's part of this bigger world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do something
They
with
bring
it.
them on. Yeah.
Yeah, bring it back. Now, next iconic character. Now, this person has a film and a TV show, and that's Spawn. Al Simmons. Now, I know more of the comic and the movie. I didn't really see the show because I didn't have HBO when I was younger. But just the fact that we had this character who is all powerful, and that was he's probably one of the most powerful, like, at the time that I knew
Especially
of.
like when it comes to like magic and just that.
Yeah, magic and all that stuff.
Man.
He can do all this stuff. And for me, I mean, just being all out there is like, this man was like, he gives middle finger to the devil, God, everybody. He's like, I don't got time for none of y'all. Like, all right, I did some bad stuff when I was alive.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm paying my penance.
Yeah.
But I'm doing it my way. And that's kind of how I feel like as a black man. It's like, you know what? Yeah, I gotta live in your world, but I'm gonna live in your world my way. That's just how I felt. Like, that's why I feel about Spawn. It's like, I'm gonna do it my way.
Exactly.
I ain't watched the show, but I seen Michael John White's portrayal of it and everything. And everybody we've named now up to yet individualistic. They're not like, oh, this is the black version, and we can name like another superhero.
Yeah.
Everybody's their own person. Everybody's their own entity. Whatever. So
Yeah.
I rock with it.
Did you ever see the show? Because I can't really speak on the show.
I've never seen the show. I am going to start watching it because I know it's on HBO Max. But I'm definitely going to check it out because I know that what we got in the movie was just scratching the surface
Yeah, it
of
was
the
a very
grittiness
watered down version
of the comic. Like,
Yeah.
just the grittiness of the comic. My man fought the KKK.
Facts.
Like he straight up murdered the KKK. If that's not what black life is about.
Beautiful.
But it's got your boy voice in Spawn. Oh my gosh, why can't I remember it from They Live? David Craig? Is it David Craig? Oh my
he's
god.
in The Thing. I feel bad. I feel
Oh my
real
man,
bad.
he was the
All
voice
right.
of Goliath. Deserves
Keith David.
all our
Keith
respect.
David.
Keith David.
That was a Keith
Oh
David.
man.
All right. Speaking of martial artists who are martial artists in real life, talk about Blade, man, Wesley Snipes.
Yes, sir.
The first Marvel
First.
superhero movie.
Exactly.
So you could say the first Marvel movie was Howard the Duck, putting it aside. New Line Cinemas in the mid-90s said, Wesley Snipes, we want you to headline this movie. And Blade, to this day, stands up as still one of the best superhero movies I've ever seen. Because it gives you an origin story the correct way. It didn't start with him as a little baby. It's like, yo, I'm already kicking ass. And then it's like, here's who he is as a new person the audience is introduced to it. And Wesley doing his thing on screen.
Yeah.
And also, I'm sorry, my favorite line ever.
Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
I don't care. I use that all the time. I'm sorry. I love that movie. Like, I just rewatched it like the other day.
We all gotta remember how iconic that movie was, especially just for black people in general, to have a hero.
A dark-skinned hero.
A dark-skinned hero.
Because, I mean,
but my man had the fade with the lines drawn.
Yeah,
my man had the sunglasses.
Yes, sir.
All right, I know y'all know the sword and the boomerang blade that he used to throw.
Yeah, the first scene.
Those were the two. I always used to see everyone have those.
Yeah. I mean, and again, and I will say this just as the resident movie guy, that was New Line Cinema. And New Line is the people who come out with all the stuff. New Line is who made Ninja Turtles, Scream. So they're the ones who take chances on people. And the only reason we got it is because Marvel had messed up in the 90s and had to sell off all these properties. Yeah. So, one man's failure is another man's treasure. Blade would have never had his time to like, and he also even got a cartoon anime and a TV series. Next, probably the best anime version of any Marvel thing ever. Into the Spider-Verse, bro.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now we spoke of Spider-Man. We spoke of making a black version of something, and Miles Morales, for all intents and purposes, is a black Peter Parker. However, he is going through all the black tropes with the combination of having to live up to this iconic figure of Spider-Man in his world and our world. Like, everything stacked up against him. And yet he's persevered so much that he got his own animated series. And they said it was taking but it broke box office numbers. Everybody loves it. Everybody wants another one.
The amount of awards that joint got, bro.
Yes, sir.
And the soundtrack, again,
Woo-wee.
that's the thing about when you have a black superhero and you give us a black soundtrack, you get to feel the culture. You get all the way through, man. You get and you even get the little things like there's a little thing like when he was walking through the private school and you're like your shoes aren't untied. He's like, it's a decision.
Yeah, because that's the style.
That's a style.
Like,
and the fact
I did that on purpose.
The fact they had those little things in it, it's like that's something we do. We have these things. The way he talked.
He was the first superhero to wear J's, bro.
Come on. He wears J's as part of his costume. Everyone treated him as a child because obviously he was a kid. But once they're like, no wait, he's better than us. We gotta let him go. It's like, oh no, he can do this. We gotta let him go do this. He's smart, just like Peter, on his own. He's going through all this stuff, but no one made it a thing. Like he happened to be black, and that's what I really like. Oh yeah, I forgot. He's actually mixed race. Because remember his mom's Dominican.
Yep. Yes.
Because I just remember his mom when she was like having and she spoke Spanish with no subtitles. Shout out to my Latinos, man, because black and brown, we in the same boat, man. Not last but not least, but the most iconic, the one that everybody loved, Black Panther. I mean, man, Chadwick, he gave us a role that I don't want to gush on it, but he gave us something that I will be able to watch in 10 years. And there's so many other Marvel movies that in 10 years I'm really not gonna care about, but I can put that movie on and just see all the black culture. The soundtrack again.
Was everything, bro.
Yes. The soundtrack is.
Big ups to Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, and the story itself is all about that. It's like, and it's kind of like, especially for us, myself personally, I went to private school my entire life until I got to college, and it's a lot of just because you made it, you made it, you got to go back and help your people. So y'all the richest, most powerful, you got all the powers in the world, and that's why Killmonger, my boy Michael B, he was going about it wrong, but he was right.
He made some good points.
Which also, case in point, one of the best Marvel villains was a black man who was like, you know what, this whole system is kind of messed up. Because if you actually had Killmonger sit down and be like, hold up, Tony Stark's over here doing this, and Captain America's doing that, like, what about this over here? And then just every single character. I mean, whether there's somebody like Angela Bassett, or
Forrest Whitaker.
yeah, I mean, just even small roles, whatever.
Yeah.
The fact that this man, Ryan Coogler, put in a "what are those" joke in the movie, that is something that is. I mean, I had to explain to some people what are those, like, why is that funny? I'm like, that's
It's a vibe.
it's, but I'm like, hey, that was a black thing. You know, you gotta understand where it came from.
Just from like the opening, like you get the immersion of like you get that Cali vibe, like that. You
Oh
that,
yeah,
that
they started the movie with a Too Short song.
Yeah, bro. Like you get that, but then you get like the immersion of African culture and heritage and tradition and everything. And,
Right.
And then it gives you undertones of Lion King vibes with the tree and the ancestors and the panther and everything, man. Then you get your family drama with the hey auntie. You get the jealousy with the crabs in the barrel with M'Baku coming down for challenge day.
Yeah,
it's a good story. Like it's a really good story.
It's just a good story.
And to be honest, like out of all the superhero movies, like the reason why that joint hits the hardest is because it really does speak to black culture.
Yes.
As a whole, the fact that he was like so passionate about that role, like you felt his passion in that role. Like when he was the child and he was upset at his father for leaving Killmonger behind. He was like, "Why did you leave that boy behind?" He crying about it.
Yeah, he's like, he was one of
us.
us.
Like you don't see a lot of heroes like break down like that and actually shed tears about those type of things. They usually just get mad, like throw stuff across the room, Hulk style.
Yeah,
but he actually like broke down, was like trying to talk to his father, like, "Hey man, why did you do this to this young man? Why didn't you bring him home with you? Why did you do this to him?" But even his boy, I have to deal with
even his boy, when his boy was like, because his boy went with Killmonger, it's like, I understand why he went with him. It's like, yeah, why are we doing all these things? I mean, everybody, it was, and not to be facetious, it wasn't black and white. Everybody had a justification for why. It's got such a high bar, and we're talking about it a lot because it's so up there.
This is coming from Infinity War coming out the same year as that joint, and like literally, like Infinity War just beats it out.
No, Infinity War does not beat out for me because again, in 10 years.
No, I'm talking about literally as far as like box office sales. It just beat it out.
That's true.
But that's because it had. All the superheroes, it had everyone.
Everything.
This one was just Black
Panther,
and it still
was
about to shit on a movie involving like all the superheroes. Like, come on,
a sequel upon a sequel upon a sequel.
So they had a star-studded cast: Angela Bassett, Forrest Whitaker, Sterling K. Brown.
Yes.
Crazy scene. Like
2 scenes.
Yeah.
Only 2 scenes, and still 2 of the best scenes. Of a black man being like, I'm not there to help raise you and all this, but like, right.
And then like they bridge so many things together, LA, Wakanda, Africa, so we get the the present day African American side of what we going through, and then we also get, our heritage that we were stripped of as well. If anything that you take from this video, we need more of it. You see how engaged we are, how excited we are to talk about this stuff, and this is that short list that he has, that's all that we have of our superhero culture, or us in superhero culture. And there's so many other, not black superheroes that we could talk about that we'd be here for years.
Right.
And we only have like a drop of water in the ocean of black superheroes from TVs and movies. So we need more of it.
Now, there are a couple more that we didn't talk about, so we kind of have to talk about them just because they do exist, and there's nothing wrong with them per se. But, there was this television show that came out by Stan Raimi called m.a.n.t.i.s. Came out in the early mid-90s. The premise is amazing. It's a really intelligent scientist. He is shot in a drive-by. I believe it's a drive-by. Please correct me, either here or in the comments. And so he's paralyzed. And he pretty much creates an exoskeleton to fight crime. Now, the TV movie made by Sam Raimi, he has 2 assistants who are African American who are African, and help him develop this paralyzing agent. So he doesn't use guns, obviously. So he can shoot the villains, and they're like frozen When they retooled it into the actual TV show, he loses the 2 Africans, and they change the backstory a little bit, whatever. And then they end up making it like him fighting like I think an invisible dinosaur and some crazy stuff. But the premise is still something really right. You also have Vixen. Vixen's an interesting character. I don't know where she actually started in comics, but she was introduced in one of the spin-offs of The Flash. And she has this amulet that like grants her the abilities and powers of different animals.
Yeah.
And so like her mother had it, so it's a generation passed down thing. And she's an animated series that is part of the Flash TV thing, but she's only appeared. But now she's on Legends of Tomorrow. But she could have, and she's from like Detroit, so you could do a lot with that. There's Catwoman, Halle Berry's Catwoman. Yeah. And it exists.
It's out there, and we're moving on. That's how I feel about it. That's
pretty much. I mean, really. I mean, I'm really not gonna.
If you've seen it, you'll know why
if you haven't seen it,
moving on.
If you haven't seen it,
don't see it.
All right, so
they did it wrong, man. I got to talk. So, 2 reasons. They did it wrong in that one. You know, she was up and coming, and
no, she just won the Oscar.
Oh, she just won the Oscar.
She just won the Oscar.
Gorgeous. You know, they wanted her for visual aesthetics only.
They didn't even make her Catwoman. They made her a Catwoman. She wasn't Catwoman, Batman's Catwoman. She was a woman who was literally brought back to life by some Egyptian spirit. Right. So the original spell, I'm being the movie guy again, it was supposed to be the spin-off of Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman that was sitting there on the table for whatever. And then somebody took it and said, okay, this, that, and change it up. So in this movie, it has nothing to do with Catwoman Selena Kyle. It is a woman who is literally dies and is brought back by the Egyptian cat goddess. Why?
Like the way they did that movie, it was just a cash grab. And that's why I really am just like, let's move on from this.
The last one is much maligned. And we're going to talk about for a second, Shaquille O'Neal Steel. Alright, so we're going to speak on the film first, and then what it could have been. The film was a man who was not giving any acting or good acting notes beforehand. He was given a horrible costume. Which by the way, every single costume has to be created for the actor, right?
Yeah.
So why'd you give him something that literally looked like a mother put together for a son?
What it looked like? Does anyone remember Star Kid?
Yes.
The alien from Star Kid. Yes. It looked like they just took that and put it on Shaquille O'Neal.
Like they just cut out the mouth part.
Gave him that costume. Every time I see Steel, the first thing I think about is Star Kid, and I'm like, they were both bad.
I'm going to my resident comic book expert, Los, to explain who Steel John Henry Irons is from the comics, and please explain why they messed up this story from top to bottom.
So from the comic book, he was like a genius, brilliant engineer. Decided to make a steel suit after Doomsday killed Superman, and he was going to be the second coming of Superman. But he made the steel suit, engineered it perfectly, and then gave himself a steel hammer. And then to honor Superman, he put an S on his chest. So, did we forget anybody?
In my research, I think that's about it.
Shame.
Prove us wrong.
Sad. I'm about to say, if y'all know anybody that we forgot that had their own standalone TV series or movie or animated series, tell us in the comments.
Tell us. We will research it. We'll find it. I will watch it. I will come back and talk about it. But until then, just like, subscribe, and comment. Just how do you feel about these characters? What they mean to you?
All right, folks. This has been another one with the Gambia production team. This has been your boy LT,
Vern,
and Los.
We'll catch you next time, all right? Peace.
Hey folks, if you enjoyed that video, you'll probably like our other stuff. So make sure to go check that out on our channel. And while you're there, please make sure to subscribe so you can see what we have cooking up for you. Won't you come join our Gambia? You'll be glad you did.